Let's give it a shot. I think we're going to be all right. Try to do it. Let's see what's happening. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. Sorry I'm starting so late. Family stuff. We went... It's everything. It's just we went food shopping and we had everybody wanted to go to a different store. It's that kind of a situation. I hope you're well. We have a lot to cover tonight and never enough time to cover it, especially on a week like this. So please forgive me, if you will. We are, I guess this is, hold on, let me settle in here and see if I can get, I set some stuff up, so let's see if the chat room is here. There they are. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hello. Good to see you. And let's see, I'm home. It's true. And the rain has stopped for the most part. Yes, Mitch McConnell, I'm in Kentucky, and Mitch McConnell missed a stitch. He apparently he felt lightheaded and froze up for a number of seconds and had to be led away from the podium, and then he returned and said he had a thing with the thing, and they're tying it to his concussion a little bit ago. Not surprising, man of his age. Again, not particularly wishing ill on anybody, but whew, that was interesting. It was very interesting to be in Kentucky with my family out in the car, and that news broke. Yeah, so he had a freeze up. We'll take a look at that. Well, we can do that like kind of right out of the gate. This business right here. Let me see if I can find it.
And a string of...
Hold on. There we go. Let me bring this up. This guy right here. This is the video.
And cooperation. And a string of...
That's a significant amount of time.
Anything else you want to say? Or should we just go back to your house? Do you want to say anything else to your house?
Okay. Yeah. So that was a significant hang up. Yeah. They kind of walked him off. It's a little longer version, I think.
Let's go back to...
Go ahead, John.
You know, that's when somebody that age has one of those moments, that's a shocking and uncomfortable situation. That is not good. That is not something yeah, here he is. 12 minutes later, he returned and said, okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA.
All right, this is the lead up to it. That's the beginning of it, where he actually freezes and then they walk him off. So regardless, the audio is super low. Okay, thank you. I will consider that. Let's see if I can bring this up a touch for you guys. I mean, it's not... the irony is that he doesn't really say much. Let's see if I can get this. It seems to be frozen. Hold on there. Always gets weird with Facebook or Twitter. Never mind. Okay, we'll jump into our videos. But either way, he froze up, and that was not a particularly good look. Yeah, it could have been a mini stroke. It's not at somebody his age that's had. I mean, he looks very white. He looks very pale. He looks very gelatinous. He has for a while. He's definitely older. Yeah. TIA. I don't know. They have not clarified what exactly happened to him. Again, he had a concussion a couple of weeks ago, so who can say? But either way, not good. And like I said, gelatinous, gaunt. Yeah, he's that's a rough one at his age. Interestingly enough, if I may, let's see. If you want to talk about gelatinous pieces of shit, I think we go straight to this guy. I think, ladies and gentlemen, so one of the stories, and we'll follow up on this. Hold on, scroll this up so you guys can see this. Rudy Giuliani is on Rob Schitt's show, and Mrs. Schitt is filling in, which I guess is adorable. And we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if, luckily, I mean, she's in another room. He's apparently distracted on his phone at the top of this. He's got the red hanky square, which I think, if I understand Sound of Freedom enough, is a symbol of being a pedophile. He's got the pinky ring. That's symbol one. Red shoes is the other one. And, of course, the red pocket square is that you're on the lookout for a toddler, I think. I'm only partially kidding. I don't... Ugh, just what I like for dinner, gelatinous POS. Well, there's a lot of that going around. All right, so let's take a look, if we can, and I think we shall. This is Rudy Giuliani on Rob Schitt's show. This hold on, number up here. Think. There we go. We'll get this started. This is Giuliani on President Biden. He should have the dignity to resign, which is usually what you say when you're like, fuck, I'm never going to beat this guy. There's a bunch of, it's what they like during Trump's impeachment, where the only thing that was going to save him was if Republicans were willing to throw themselves under the bus for him, which of course they were. But saying that while that's happening, technically speaking, Trump, who's literally been indicted for possession of classified documents, should have the dignity to not run for president, but get the fuck out of here. Yeah. So here we go.
About Kevin McCarthy. This is a very strong statement from him. Do you think he'll actually go through with it and impeach President Biden?
No.
He better.
He better. Or what? What are you going to do? Sick Marjorie Taylor Greene on him?
I mean, the reality is he should be gone by now.
Mitch or McCarthy or Biden?
This country has been hurt enough by Joe Biden.
Yes, it's terrible. The infrastructure, the removal of lead pipes, the reshoring of factories, the genuine wage growth, the narrowing between racial groups, and the standard for unemployment, the lowest unemployment in 70 years. Yeah, I know, it's terrible. The stock market, have you seen it lately? It's like at 2 points.
Not a single person of Ukraine would have died.
Wait a minute. Why is there a child screaming in the background? This scares me. I just saw Sound of Freedom. It's terrifying. What? The
country has been hurt enough by Joe Biden. Not a single person of Ukraine would have died if Joe Biden hadn't been elected president.
That's right. The Russians attacked because they were so mad that Trump wasn't reelected. I'm sorry. We don't negotiate with terrorists. That's reason enough I think that's reason enough to not reelect Donald Trump, is because we do not negotiate with terrorists.
I mean, just think if you...
Okay, why has he got children in the background? This is creeping me out. Someone called Jim Caviezel.
Think about it.
Red pocket square, child screaming in the background, pinky ring, and currently on trial for being sued for sexual assault.
The people in Afghanistan wouldn't have died if he weren't president.
The people in Afghanistan wouldn't have died if he weren't president. Oh, because they would have, but just over time, obviously, because we were going to stay forever.
We have a career criminal in the White House, and we all know it.
Wait a minute. Is Trump visiting? Or I didn't realize he was even in D.C.
Do we know it? The whole world knows it.
Yeah, we're all aware of it. You guys know it. I know it. Your mom knows it. Dogs know it.
And he is now hurting the United States of America.
Is he, though? Hold on one second. Now, today, and I excuse me if I point of order, Mr. Chairman, you guys do realize that the Fed raised interest rates another quarter point today, which is supposed to fuck everything. It's supposed to ruin the stock market. It's supposed to crash everything. It's supposed to be the end of the end of the end. And I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Dow rises for 13th straight day, posting its best winning streak since 1987. Joe Biden, you bastard! Why are you destroying America? The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose Wednesday, notching its best winning streak since 1987 as traders digested a Federal Reserve rate hike and major corporate earnings. The Dow average added 82 points, or 0.23%, to 35,520. The 30 stock index extended its rally to 13 days, an advance it hasn't achieved since January of 1987. If the index rises for 14 straight days on Thursday, it will match the longest streak ever going back to June 1897. Damn you, Joe Biden! Why are you wrecking the whole world? Why you do this, Joe Biden? Don't get me started on employment numbers. Unemployment rate has been 4% for the longest stretch in 50 years in American history. Yes, it has. All right, here we go.
Get to do that. Where's the Barry Goldwater?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's buried somewhere. Pretty sure that's where Barry Goldwater is.
Goldwater went to a member of his party, Richard Nixon, and said, please resign for the good of the country.
Yeah, he's a Republican, obviously. Here's an idea. Technically speaking, in this analogy, you would be the Barry Goldwater to Donald Trump and should have asked him to resign before January 6th and would have saved this country a lot of strife. You putz.
The country comes before party. It becomes before greed. It comes before power. It becomes.
He's talking about the Democratic Party, obviously not the Republican Party, because those are the guiding principles. That's their lodestar.
For anything, this man is dramatically hurting the United States of America.
Oh, the drama. Oh, the drama. Dramatically. Look at the stock market just ticking up every day, even though the interest rate's climbing.
He's putting our national security in jeopardy.
Well, I do know for a fact he's not showing or storing classified documents outside of his ability as president anywhere right now. That's, But a search warrant for Bedminster, I would think, would be a good idea.
The countries he did business with are major national security risks.
He didn't do business with any of them. That's at the Nuclear Security Summit, stupid.
How do we know when he gives money to Zelensky, it isn't because Zelensky has a file on him that's that big that amounts to about $20 million in bribes?
Because everybody's been looking for it, and Zelensky would have released it to help Trump if Trump. Here's a better question. What kind of an asshole would Donald Trump have to be to have Zelensky prefer somebody that allegedly he's got leverage over only to the tune of $20 million versus a guy who, withheld arms? Why would... Okay.
It's not speculative with Zelensky. He's got the proof.
No.
Have it too.
Okay. Well, if he's got it, then what the fuck is the leverage? If you have it as well, what is it?
I have the tape recordings of the Ukrainian witnesses. Zelensky has him dead. Meanwhile, so does Mr. Z in China. And
there is no Mr. Z in China. There's a Mr. Xi in China. And if he's got him, quote, dead, then what the fuck was the CHIPS Act about?
Made one decision that's been favorable to the U.S. and unfavorable to China?
The CHIPS Act, the entire Chips and Science Act, keeping all of Trump's sanctions and adding on top of them, literally denying them technology that would allow them to build AI on a scale that would match our own. Here's a good idea. Name one thing that he's done that's favorable to China at all, that isn't simply a way to bide time until Apple can extract themselves as America's most profitable company.
This man got $31 million from China.
$31 million. That's a new number. I'm very excited about it. It's still chicken shit money.
Got over $17 million from Ukraine, and he caves into them constantly.
Caves into Ukraine? You do realize that Congress and the Senate provide the funding, right? You know, if it was just him, and there were, everybody, wouldn't you think the rest of the Democrats and Republicans would be all like, what the fuck is this thing with Biden always wanting to help Ukraine? Instead of them being all in, it's almost as if Russia attacked them and we're helping.
I don't know. What do we need? Are we stupid?
Well, the two of you, yeah. I mean, yes, I would argue both of you and she, and Rob even, for leaving the show in her hands and your hands. Yeah, three stupid people. Yeah, you're stupid. And
he should be removed from office. He should have the dignity to resign.
Do you feel vindicated?
Do you feel vindicated? Do you feel vindicated? Being sued for sexually assaulting a woman repeatedly. Do you feel and that case going forward?
Vindicated, Mayor Giuliani, because I mean, so many times the left, they use your name to discredit the allegations against Biden's dealings in Ukraine. Remember that? What did they call you when the FBI raided and they were? I mean, it was
a pig, gross, creepy, Giuliani, the COVID farting bandit. How many nicknames do we need for him?
just nonsensical at that point. Do you feel vindicated now that all of this evidence that you have been talking about from day one is now coming out?
Is it though?
I always knew I'd be vindicated. I knew when the...
Boy, if he admits that he's the source of the FD 1023 accidentally, which he's this close to doing.
Most crooked man to run for president of the United States said during the debate in 2020 that Rudy Giuliani was a Russian pawn. That's a...
Well, that's, I mean, obviously, you like to think of yourself as an agent, but you're not. You're a mildly useful idiot.
I didn't take that easily or lightly.
No, you were insulted that you weren't a super spy.
I knew he would choke on those words. And he did, because they had to admit that the hard drive was completely accurate.
No, they didn't. No one has. No one has admitted that. Get the fuck out of here.
Nothing to do with Russia. Now, only a crook and a liar would do something like that.
It's outrageous.
So, I mean, the reality is he is disgracing the great country we love.
Uh-huh.
Get to do that. And where are the patriotic Americans in Washington that'll walk into that office and say, get the hell out of there? You don't...
Yes. Where are the patriotic Americans that can just storm into the Oval Office and go, beat it, old man. I'm taking over this joint. I think a lot of them are going to jail for attempting that shit on January 6th.
belong in that seat.
Do you think Joe Biden is compromised?
100%.
100%. This whole, like, the way he's, like, fucking with Russia and fucking with China and fucking with Saudi Arabia, it's all just a mask he's wearing. He's wearing it very well, but it's just, trust me, 15, 20 years from now, the stuff that he's doing now will eventually be undone by someone.
I don't think it. I know it.
Well, I think thinking's been out of the question for a long time anyways.
And so do you. And so does everybody that's listening.
No, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing you, and it's gibberish. It's a bunch of shit. I mean, you're beating this dead horse, and I feel at this point I'm starting to feel for the horse.
Just look at his decisions on China.
Okay, I have, and again, if I may, point of order, Mr. Chairman. I mean, a sea change. Biden reverses decades of Chinese trade policy. Forget tariffs. Biden's actions to crack down on Beijing's tech development will do more to hinder the Chinese economy and divide the two nations than Trump ever did. After decades of U.S. efforts to engage China with the prospect of greater development through trade, the era of cooperation is coming to a screeching halt. The White House and Congress are quietly reshaping the American economic relationship with the world's second largest economic power, enacting a strategy to limit China's technological development that breaks with decades of federal policy and represents the most aggressive American action yet to curtail Beijing's economic and military rise. It's not even fucking close. What is he talking about? Honest to God, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's talking about. None of this makes any sense. Like, just standard reality. Biden is the first president we've had, since our position with Russia during the Cold War, to make scientists and tech workers have to choose between working for a foreign company and their citizenship. If you wanted to go to work for some of these Chinese companies that deal with the Chinese military and deal in high-tech stuff from the United States, if you want to keep working there, that's fine. But you have to give up your U.S. citizenship. Guess what everybody did, by the way? On the day that happened, at midnight, they dropped their shit and flew home. Honest to God. And here's the thing. It's not so much, it's hard to say whether or not Giuliani knows any of the shit or cares to know it or just avoids it so he can have plausible idiocy. But the weird part is that are Newsmax viewers that fucking dumb? Does Newsmax keep their viewers intentionally stupid about this stuff? Because you can haggle about the quality of policy and stuff. And like I said, the reason they say deep state and swamp is because bureaucrat isn't sexy enough. But it's the same fucking argument that we've had for 40 years. Unelected bureaucrats are blah, 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 blah. Look, they have to, Newsmax, I'm calling you out. This isn't even about Giuliani and Rob shit anymore. This is about you guys intentionally dumbing down your audience. That they don't even fucking know what their country is doing in dealing with China and China's military and China's theft of tech, and intellectual property. They don't. All right.
Has he said no to Zelensky?
No, but then neither has most of Europe and most of our Congress. 89%. Is Zelensky the single greatest blackmailer in the world? Or let me run this by you. Ever since Biden came into office, the biggest sea change between the United States and China has been that Mexico and then Canada, right behind them, have become our biggest trading partners. Now, Republicans could take this as a moment to celebrate the USMCA or the modification of NAFTA and go, holy shit, we're reversing course. We're bringing these factories and stuff closer to home and shortening our supply chains and being in relationships with countries that, quite frankly, we have a much closer relationship to in terms of how our government works and how their government works than we would with, say, the CCP. Instead of championing that and saying, well, it's only because of Trump's USMCA or any of that stuff, they just ignored it entirely. And so everybody on the right-wing side that's calling for the shutdown of the southern border is effectively acting, whether they know it or not, whether they're intentional or they're just useful idiots, are acting as agents of the CCP and Chinese business because the one thing that would give China a toehold to regain some of its supply chain issues and get more consumption, and more exports going out would be if we slowed imports and shipments coming in from Mexico. If we just sealed the border. So anybody calling for sealing the border, shutting it down, is effectively working for all the other countries that most of their stuff comes in through the shipping ports, and they want to end that.
Has he ever put a inspector general in charge of the money going to Zelensky? Every time Congress asks, he refuses.
Well, I think they have to actually pay for one.
There was an article in the newspaper yesterday.
The newspaper? Oh my God. And look at me. I forgot to pick up the newspaper. Does anybody have one lying around? I can't wait to find out what he considers the newspaper. Is it the Weekly World News?
Ukraine doesn't have enough money for arms. Headline, Wall Street Journal. The lazy, crooked press doesn't ask, well, what happened to the money we gave them?
They're using it. Killing Russians, stupid. They're outnumbered like 40-1, and they're kicking ass. Of course they're running out of rounds. Russia won't stop. Russia has lost 250,000 men in this war. 250,000 dead on the Russian side. You think that's even possible? If they're okay, for one, if the Ukrainians are winning this war and shuffling off half of the arms that we're giving them, they're selling it on the black market to whomever. They haven't shown who. And every piece of footage I've seen, like, this stuff's ending up in Africa and Syria, blah, blah, like, well, then why is everybody walking around with AK-47s, you prick? But if Ukraine is kicking that much ass and selling off half the gear, I'd let them win just because they're badasses. They're dangerous. Do they really think this? Do they really think that Ukraine is doing this well against that large a force? And they're giving away the gear? Why didn't they think this about Afghanistan during Trump's years? Trump just upped the number every year. I rebuilt our entire military and sent all the new shit to Afghanistan, apparently.
Well, we don't know because we haven't monitored it on purpose.
Right, because some people will leak it, like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
How can we trust any dealings he has with Zelensky?
Because they're winning.
Zelensky was the creature of probably the second most crooked man in Ukraine, Kolomoisky. He's the creature of the most crooked, Zlochevsky.
Right.
All the money that was laundered that went to Joe Biden went through.
Wait, Zelensky's not in office because of Zlochevsky.
Zelensky's mentor's hands. It's like this.
Wow.
It's like this? Isn't it supposed to be like this? Or quite frankly, like this?
Giuliani, we're going to have to leave it right there.
Yeah, Mary Giuliani, once you touch your fingers together, our audience starts to throw up in their mouth. So we're going to have to go to commercial right now just so people can breathe into a bag.
Thank you so much.
You can't represent us fairly and impartially.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And why is there a baby running around in the background?
Your wisdom, your insight, and...
Your wisdom, your insight, your disgusting hand gestures, that weird thing where you slipped your hand down the front of your pants in front of a girl you thought was 15 years old and it was just like nothing. Like fucking nothing.
Thank you for being such a great American. Thank you.
Thank you for being a great American.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a great American. That's why I was engaged in the exact deal I'm accusing Hunter Biden of being involved in Ukraine. Let's be abundantly clear. Rudy Giuliani and his buddies running over trying to do gas deals and energy and security deals in Ukraine on behalf of the Russians, basically undermining any kind of stabilizing governmental force that was happening there, because that's, that the money is made in chaos and in oligarchical systems. It's not made in fairness. Once you have to trade fairly with other fucking people, it's a pain in the ass, and the profits go down precipitously, and he knows this. So getting in there on Russia's benefit and undermining any kind of, anti-corruption movements that's going on in Ukraine and stuff is exactly how Rudy Giuliani has made his money post 9/11. And we know now from that FD 1023 that effectively Rudy and his buddies were over there trying to secure the deal that Hunter Biden had basically set up for Zlochevsky and Burisma, buy this American company, you'll be under American law, but at least that'll take away a lot of people's worries about you being corrupt, and that'll do it. And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm not doing that. And then he's bitching to Rudy and his buddies that this Hunter Biden's nuts. This guy wants me to play by the rules? Are you crazy? So, yeah, she's not going to ask Rudy Giuliani about the lawsuit. Oh, by the way, so let's jump into the Hunter Biden plea deal, because there was a lot made about the whole, oh my God, it fell apart, and then it came back together, and then it's fine. But that it was overly broad, and Republicans have been basically putting pressure on this Trump judge to not allow it to go through. And they want to be able to prosecute him for stuff, later. And he was under the impression that they had gone through an immunity agreement on other stuff and whatever. They wanted to put in, I think, either somebody was arguing Farah needed to be part of the case, and he wanted immunity on that kind of stuff, but it wasn't part of what was happening in this, and they still want to try him on the Farah thing. It's not going to amount to a hill of beans, because even the emails they have show that he didn't want to violate Farah, and that's what ended the deal. So it's going to be a waste of fucking time. But they can make a lot of noise about it, and again, they care more about the existence of the investigations than the actual outcome. Say what you will about Trump's complaints about Democrats, but Democrats have been trying to. They impeached Trump twice, and the indictments are aimed at actually convicting him. Trump's whole thing is I just need the dirty noise out there. I just need the illusion of Biden being as criminal as I am, so we can call it a wash and I can run for president. So this is Fox News in relation to, and I think this is the 5 talking about them. Oh, it's Outnumbered. This is on Outnumbered, and they're talking about the. Whatever. It's this, let me just scroll this up. There we go. The Hunter Biden plea deal, and that, oh my God, there was such chaos and disorder.
Thank you so much. Let's bring in today's panel now. Harris and I are joined by Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce, director of the Tech Policy Center at the Heritage Foundation.
Oh dear. You can't wear green. Oh God, now I've got to. You don't realize. All right, I don't know who she is, so we won't necessarily pounce on her with a print, but we'll see.
Tara Frederick, and host of Making Money on Fox Business, Charles Payne. Charles, we've had an explosive morning, and now these developments, which frankly raises so many more questions than.
Oh, so many questions.
What do you make of it all?
First of all, I'm like, I got to become a lawyer all over again. It's like, I had to put on my lawyer hat. I didn't even know the FAR. I'm glad I heard Griff mention what it stood for. Here's what I think the angle I was looking at it, we all kind of anticipated, was just this notion that this was a sweetheart deal to begin with, right? And to remind folks, the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993 was ushered into law.
Oh, my God. Okay, let's just start with the fact that the Republicans pretending to give a fuck about the Brady anti-gun violence law is disgusting hilarity at its absolute peak. The concept that these guys don't even believe that rules should exist. This is what you're gonna go after Hunter Biden and say this is the slam dunk over a law you have been actively fighting.
Then Senator Joe Biden, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which made this form 4473 a key part of the background check. Lying on that form is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Bottom line, That was already a big headline. So now the sweetheart deal apparently had a cherry on top. Immunity. Wow, it gets even sweeter for the Biden family. But how brazen do you have to be? How arrogant do you have to be to let this play out?
Well, again, the up to part. All right, let's look at real quick how many people. Let's see. Lying on a gun form. Let's see. National Criminal Justice. Few prosecutions for lying on a gun purchase form. Here we go. Let's see. If I may. This is the Form 4473. This is from National Criminal Justice Association. Form 44, the firearm transaction record is a 6-page document that must be filled out whenever someone buys a firearm from a licensed firearm dealer. It asks questions including whether the buyer is addicted to drugs and is the actual buyer of the firearm. A tweet by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives in Houston said that lying on the form is a federal violation and can lead to severe penalties and jail time. A swarm of Twitter users asked why the Bureau didn't charge Hunter Biden, the president's son, for allegedly lying on Form 4473 when he purchased a handgun in October 2018. The Washington Post reports. The controversy prompted the newspaper to request statistics from the Justice Department to determine whether someone falsely filling out the form could face much prosecution. The answer, they don't. The statistics are relevant as Congress discusses how to strengthen gun laws after high-profile mass shootings. They are a prime illustration of how existing laws are not always rigorously or consistently enforced. Lying on the form is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison for being a user of unlawful drugs in possession of a firearm. Now, at the same time, the thing was, are you using drugs at the time, or had you used drugs? And the question about whether or not he was actively using at the time, or whether he relapsed and then got rid of the gun and blah, 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 is another conversation for another time. But whatever. The punishment is up to 5 years. The odds of being charged for lying on the form are virtually non-existent. The 2019 fiscal year, when Hunter Biden purchased this gun, federal prosecutors received 478 referrals for lying on Form 4473 and filed just 298 cases. The numbers were roughly similar for fiscal 2020. At issue is when Biden answered no on the question that asked about unlawful drug use and addiction when purchasing a gun. Biden had been discharged 5 years earlier from the Navy Reserve for drug use, and based on his 2021 memoir, he was actively using crack cocaine in the year he bought the gun. The data do not show how many people might have been prosecuted for falsely answering the question about active drug use. A 1990 Justice Department study noted how difficult it was to bring cases against people who falsely answer questions on the form, especially because there is no paper trail for drug abusers like there is for felons. He said he used drugs. He told everybody he used drugs. He admitted to using drugs. But that's not evidence. A book is not under oath. There is a myriad of reasons why you can't... Nobody's going to use his memoir as evidence. And if he comes in, all he has to do is go, I plead the fifth. And then you got to go find evidence of him physically using crack, not buying it, not selling it, not possessing it, not being seen on video with white rocks, or even smoking anything. You have to prove that what he was smoking on the video was actually crack. There's so many ways around this. Nobody could fucking prosecute this. That's why. And it's, by the way, why they're not going to care, because they're not going to bring the charge anyways. If they tried, all they'd have to go is his attorney go, can you prove he was smoking crack in that pipe? It looks like a crack pipe to me. Do you know, have you tested the pipe? Do you have the pipe? No. Can you prove that it is? And all he has to do is I plead the fifth about stuff, because that's how the law works, and it's done. You're better off pleading. Get him to plead guilty to the charge and have it have it pushed off into something else, because in a plea deal argument you can't be penalized if they don't follow through on the plea deal. The fact that the prosecutor's side or the judge itself wouldn't agree to it means that anything he said in it isn't admissible anyways. He can retract his agreement to the plea or his guilty plea, because that's how you protect people against coercion. This is just stupid. And again, do you have the pipe? Do you have pictures? How many witnesses can you bring forward? I saw him smoking. Did you smoke it yourself? What? Did you smoke crack yourself? I plead the fifth. right? Did you smoke the crack he smoked? I plead the fifth. Well, then how can you say that he smoked crack if you won't say you smoke crack if you smoke from the same pipe? Like, this is how this stupid shit happens. They reiterated it. They're gonna take it. They wanted to add the FARA thing to it. It's not gonna be added to it. That's that. This is not going anywhere. I'm telling you.
In front of the American public, where so many people have gone to prison for far less.
Tammy.
No, they haven't. Nobody's going to prison for being charged right now for lying on a gun form about drug use that they talked about or told in a story in 2018. No one. No one. Here's an idea. Find one. Go find somebody. There are 298 cases in that year. Go find anybody that lied on it about drug use that's being punished. And then go, okay, if some people, they lied on it, or you think they lied on it and you were going to charge them, why didn't you? Well, we don't have, obviously, you can't do a drug test 5 years later. Even if they're doing drugs now, it doesn't mean they were doing drugs then. Just because it looks like they're smoking something, they could roll their own cigarettes, or they, who gives a shit? Unless you can tell it's actual crack, we can't charge anybody for smoking through a glass pipe. So what the fuck are we supposed to do? We didn't, like, the only pictures you guys have of him, he's fucking asleep. So somebody else could have put that in his mouth and taken a picture of him, just like writing the word dick on somebody's forehead after they black out. What do we charge? You want to talk about a weaponized justice system? That's what that is.
To bring you in, you're always so thoughtful and so cognizant of so many details. And part of what I find so frankly horrifying about
it's horrifying. I'm horrified.
This case, as someone who has spent hundreds of hours in federal prisons looking across the table at average Americans who were serving time for a fraction of what Hunter Biden has verifiably
Hold on, wait.
been accused of here.
Has verifiably been accused of. Yes, you can verify that he's been accused of something. But the reason somebody's in jail is because their accusation led to an indictment that led to a trial that led to evidence being presented that got them arrested in an order, in a timescape that could actually satisfy a jury. Honest to God, find a jury of 12 people that's going to listen to you say, we know this guy smoked crack in this year because he said so in his book. Is everything true in his book? No. I mean, obviously some stuff he played with time, he changed some names and that kind of stuff. So how do we know he's not changing his tail in this one? Oh, because, we'll bring him up. He can't be forced to testify? Fuck. Well, this guy says he saw him smoking something. Does he know what the substance was? Did he smoke the crack himself? No, he didn't. How does he know it's crack? Because it smelled like crack. How does he know what crack smells like? He won't testify.
Is the level of detail. For over 6 years that he either failed to file tax returns or when doing so, liked to claim things like his sex club dues, his call girl payments, his daughter's Columbia University tuition, the daughter that he recognized, that is. And when...
Ouch. Also, they do realize that Trump has been arguing that, like, tuitions and those kind of things are penny ante. Nobody gets charged with that kind of stuff. He's been bitching about the idea that they went after Alan Weisselberg using those same things. They don't care. Okay.
The tax division of the DOJ, when those supervisory and special agents referred, it's not just this one felony that we're talking about that everyone continues repeating. It's 6 felonies, actually. Right. And 5 misdemeanors that were serious charges that he's facing decades in prison. And then after that to learn.
Yeah, but when confronted with it, he paid the back taxes. They amended his returns. It was within the window of amending those returns. Believe me, if they had it, they'd have convicted him. They would have moved ahead. But the problem is, it's less about, by the way, them protecting Hunter Biden during this thing, but how they protect like super rich people who fuck around on their taxes.
That people whose salaries are paid by our tax dollars
Okay, by the way, for the record, even before he paid his back taxes, Hunter Biden paid more taxes than Donald Trump did.
statute of limitations run, prevented search warrants from being executed, prevented this from being investigated further. To watch that smug face go in and out of a courtroom when average Americans
It's so hard. He's so smug.
who work hard all know someone that served time for so much less.
You do?
I know a woman on chemo who didn't get the benefit of a plea deal of a misdemeanor. She got a felony for $35,000 of alleged tax evasion. He was accused by the DOJ of $17.3 million of tax evasion.
No. $17.3 million is the total amount paid to the entire organization, not to him alone. And his portion of that is, he's not taxed at 100%, you moron. Again, it boils down to $2.1 million, of which he has paid back taxes of $2 million.
What is fair in this? Help these viewers understand why they should be outraged, Tammy.
Well, yeah, please, because I don't know how outrageous. I don't know. Does anybody know what you should be outraged? Somebody write in the chat room, if whoever's got the laptop, look up what we should be outraged about.
I think also they should be pretty happy today. Is that because with everything that you've noted, we expected, and everybody seemed to expect, the media expected this to just go on through.
So
This was going to be a simple thing. It was going to take 30 minutes, that it was normalized. And when his actions were not just his smug look, but an attitude of doing things in the open, expecting no problems. Americans, of course, sometimes what's taken into consideration is not just the crime that you do, but the intention behind it.
Oh, fuck you. Okay, do Trump's documents case now.
Right. If you're arrogant about it, if you knew what you were doing was
arrogant
a problem,
about
or if you were...
These are my documents. I get to keep whatever I want. I was president. Joe Biden wasn't president. I get to keep all this stuff. And if I want to have a smug look, they just let you. If you're a star, they let you smug.
You did know or whatever. But even back and forth, the nature of what you're doing is based on the kind of treatment you're expecting to get or the kind of treatment you're not going to get. So
all right, again, what? They're going by what they think is a smug look on his face. I don't know where the fuck that comes from. Because he smiled at somebody? Oh, that motherfucker. Like, that's how they're reacting to it. Do you think he went to court for this deal and went, I got to plead guilty to these two things to try and fix this shit, and I'm unpacking all this crap from when I was a drug addict and it sucks, but time to pay the piper and blah, blah, blah. You think he just went in there like, la-di-di-da? Okay, now, one more thing. There was a breakdown, I think, let's see if somebody did a breakdown of okay. This is a Daily Beast article on it, if I may. The breakdown of the Hunter Biden plea deal may contain silver linings for both the defendant and for the U.S. Department of Justice. Federal District Attorney Mary Ellen Noriega tanked the deal today after what was expected to be a straightforward hearing turned into 3 hours of drama where the plea deal was off, on, and finally postponed altogether. Judge Noriega initially expressed concern over the scope of the plea agreement arising out of the DOJ's insistence that the investigation was still ongoing despite reaching a plea agreement with Hunter Biden after 5 years' worth of investigation. The Biden defense team naturally took the position that the plea bargain should include protection against any other prosecutions. When the DOJ balked, the deal was temporarily off, or as one Biden attorney put it, null and void. It's understandable that people will wonder how it's possible that, in such a high-profile case, the full scope of the agreement was not completely hammered out beforehand. But the reality is there was something to gain for both sides by leaving it vague. If the judge had accepted the plea as is, and then the DOJ, whether under Attorney General Merrick Garland or perhaps a future Republican AG, later tried to bring additional charges, then Biden would have a good argument that the government was barred by the plea agreement from doing so. Plea bargains are essentially contracts between the prosecution and the defense, and ambiguity in contracts are usually construed against the party who drafted the contract. This is, by the way, why Bill Cosby ended up getting out of jail, because the deal he had, the person who was trying to make the deal harder on him ended up breaking the deal, and that was a violation of his Fifth Amendment rights, because he was like, if you settle in civil court, I won't use what you say against you to put you in jail, and then he did it anyways. So that got overturned. So if the plea had gone through, Biden's team could have reasoned that any ambiguous statements were about an ongoing investigation presented lesser exposure, given they would counter later charges under a theory that the government is breaching its plea agreement. Biden's team also may have taken into account that the likelihood of additional charges, such as violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, arising from almost 5 years' worth of investigation producing no charges. And that's not even taking into account the incredibly picked over and tainted evidence from the infamous Hunter Biden laptop that appears to have been handled and tampered by legions of people, making it useless from an evidentiary standpoint. Don't you guys love when I'm right again for you guys? Have I not told you this? This is, if the DOJ doesn't get this guilty plea now, the longer they wait and the more Biden's team can make the case that you only know this because you got it from this shitty hard drive, which is a manufactured thing that Rudy Giuliani was peddling all over the place and has files and shit added to it after the fact and blah, blah, blah. And I never even will cop to dropping this fucking thing off. That was a Russian guy who does a fairly decent Hunter Biden impersonation. That'll work. It'll work because it was already 3 copies in, and a violation of his privacy to even pass it on, because the hinky stuff this dude saw is none of it was indicative of a crime. He didn't see in there like someone shooting someone. Oh my God, he filmed himself murdering someone. He doesn't know any of that stuff. So the minute he passed it on was a violation of privacy. The whole thing gets thrown out. And then, of course, they added files to stuff and whether it was concocted in the first place before it even got to him. None of this fucking stays. It's all fruit of the poison tree. And the second you even try, they're going to go, Your Honor, they can't even produce the metadata where these files came from. And it's a violation of our client's privacy that he would have to show you all of his real emails to show you which parts they fabricated and which parts they didn't, because that would open it up for anybody in the world to just make a manufactured version of the email because they want to see what's in your real emails, and they go, prove it. Prove you didn't write this sentence. The violation of privacy in that would be enormous and fucking super easy. I don't know anybody who'd be for that. It's nuts. Anyways, for the DOJ, there were obvious political optics by being able to say publicly that the Biden investigation remains ongoing. They may have hoped that they could insulate them from political criticism, but this effort to insulate the DOJ from public criticism seems to be a futile Don Quixote style request. Yeah, because even if you threw him in fucking jail, they'd go, oh, he's going to a cushy jail. Why aren't they putting him in Rikers, right? The Garland-led DOJ, that's not even him. It's Claude. They put Hunter Biden's Claude in prison. Put enormous effort into trying to avoid political criticism, which has only brought accusations that the department is being politicized, thus leaving the ambiguity of an open investigation, may have offered the DOJ some political cover. Judge Noriega, however, eliminated the benefits of ambiguity for either side by demanding clarity in the scope of the agreement. She also seemed to criticize the phrasing of the pretrial diversion agreement because it required any alleged failure by Hunter Biden to comply to be brought before the court to do a fact-finding. Although it is not entirely clear yet, Noriega appeared to be uncomfortable with that process, given the diversion is something completely in the control of the prosecution and not normally overseen by the courts. This may account for her referencing a problem with separation of powers. The bottom line, however, is that both sides are likely working to fashion an agreement that the court will approve. This agreement will probably be quite specific, that Biden is only guaranteed no further prosecution arising from tax and gun charges, but the DOJ can bring other kinds of charges. Biden will likely agree to this because the deal still gives him closure on the tax and gun charges, and he will be willing to roll the dice that the DOJ will continue to come up with nada on any other charges, given their lack of progress in the case half a decade's worth of investigation. Exactly. Daily Beast nailing it by saying what I've been telling you guys for fucking 2 years. Isn't it fun to watch everybody come around to what I've been telling you? It's I gotta say, it's just nice. All right. So, where are we? Oh, yeah, so these people.
This is what is the major problem. This is a microcosm of the major problem in this country right now, is who is this country serving? Is there, it's now almost like a little bit of a cliche, but it's true about a two-tiered system of justice.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Of course there's a two-tiered justice system. Or Donald Trump would be in fucking jail right now and he wouldn't have a passport. What are you talking about? Anybody else discovered with the stuff that Donald Trump had, even if they'd had clearance at the highest level and had gone through the vetting process, which Trump didn't have to do because he was elected to office, they'd be in jail right now. Ask Reality Winner. Are you nuts? Of course there's a two-tiered justice system. And Trump has benefited from it his whole fucking life.
The IRS was crowing the other day that, okay, we'll stop making surprise visits at regular Americans' houses because they owe us a little bit of money. And, so that's supposed to make them, good guys. But this is what the American people see. The American people, no matter what they do for a living, understand fairness. This is about fair play. So many things in this country.
Yes, I agree. Why is Hunter Biden paying more taxes than Donald Trump? And go.
About sports, about the nature of politics, about prison time, about reform.
Sports? I guess these are just all areas where we should expect fairness and fair play.
And the only thing Tucker, this
What's
guy's
his
now
name?
wearing is a tutu at this point. Is like dancing into the courtroom and flipping off America in general.
This is a run of the, this was the judge that did this.
Because of the absurdity of what it is we're facing. This judge's actions today in the current situation is good for the country. They talk, it might be a trial. Well, you know what? For a lot of Americans, it is a trial. Or sometimes they plead to something that only gives them 50 years in jail. This is good news.
Yeah, if they've murdered an entire family. If you're pleading to something that only gets you 50 years, only? Most of the time you're not done digesting your victims.
And it's perhaps because of the conversation, because Americans were shocked, the system was shocked, and this cannot continue on.
Oh, the shock. How do you even deal? I don't even know. It's so hard. Whew, I gotta say, give me 1 second. I just need a moment if I could. Hold on, this is just ridiculous. Let's bring it down a little bit. The lights are so bright. I can't, so much. I can't. Oh, it's just, how do we even get it's just, I feel, it's so bad I'm like blurry right now. I didn't even know. Move this over here because it was moving. There we go. All right. Where were we? Oh, yes, I'm fine.
Good for that judge. Good for us that it didn't just get pushed on through, and good for the future that we now see that this is how the system should work.
Yes, under Joe Biden. Yeah, did Biden make a phone call and go, what the fuck? Fix this for my son. God damn it. Blah, 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 blah. Did he go on television and use the bully pulpit to go, slime balls in the DOJ are going after my family, my children? No, he went, all right, my kid was an addict. He was fucking around. He's going to find out. I mean, I hope we can work it out. And I hope I don't have to pardon my own son in 6 years.
In the landscape that Tammy just described, Kara, it includes our, again, tax dollars paying for 87,000 new IRS agents. But
I have a thing about like zombie talking points.
that's against the backdrop of the tax division manual, which demands that if the elements of a felony can be proven, you cannot charge or let plea to a misdemeanor. So to that point, the flagrant cavalier quality that this case seemingly has been handled, when most of us, believe me, do.
Well then, hey asshole, maybe the problem is they don't think they can prove the felony. If that's what the manual says, and you see what's being done, you have to use someone's state of mind that they were intentionally hiding something or they were intentionally going around this, and that it was due to a criminal activity and not to just them being an addict or a fucking mess or behind on things or any of that shit. Maybe you're onto something.
Get afforded that generosity is made all the more difficult to stomach.
Exactly. And here
exactly,
I'm looking
yeah.
at all this coverage and I'm thinking,
Uh-oh.
okay, are the wheels of justice finally turning?
Oh my God.
I completely agree with Tammy. It looks like our system, which one of the central tenets of our system is equal application of the law in America, it appears that it is working today, which
is weird because Joe Biden is president. Huh. And his son is the defendant. Huh. And if Trump was in office, do you think he would be handling it the same way Biden or the White House is in general?
we've been a little worried about that actually being the case in the past few months. But I do want to come back to what Tammy said too, you know, the smug look, the fact that they've not just
what the fuck? All right. Are they responding to a particular piece of video or something, like where he smiled at somebody? Because that's what it sounded like. The smug look. Were there cameras in the fucking courtroom?
trotted him out, especially in the courtroom, but they let Hunter take positions at state dinners. They take him to Ireland and he's glad handing, you know, with people. So
Yeah, he's not a dangerous felon, and he's going through the legal system. He's not been convicted yet. Look, if you want to argue that he deserves an ankle monitor and shouldn't be able to leave the state, cool, but Trump does too. How about that? We don't want a two-tier justice system.
that, and to me,
Tell you what, when you have any evidence that Hunter Biden had showed or retained any kind of classified documents himself, have at it.
like you said, it's a slap in the face to everyday Americans. This man should be hiding. He should be keeping his head down because
Because it upsets you. I see.
we know that the confluence of evidence indicates some wrongdoing here. So why are they?
So if the confluence of evidence shows some wrongdoing, you should keep out of the public eye. Who else could that possibly apply to?
Us brazenly saying, here, fly on Air Force One, here, come to all our state dinners and our vacations.
Jesus Christ. Can we just clip this and play this over Trump talking?
That, to me, is something that I think Americans are seeing, and they recognize it's a problem. Hopefully, we come to a resolution that is, frankly, more American.
More American. I hope that when they throw him in jail based on shoddy evidence and violation of his Fifth Amendment rights, that they wave an American flag, not the one now, the Betsy Ross.
The presence at the state dinner was made all the more, sorry, excuse me for a second, just to finish this thought. The presence at the state dinner was made all the more striking because the Attorney General was in attendance too. Right. And as you talked about the flying across.
And did it help him? Motherfucker, that's amazing. He was there. Merrick Garland was there. And still this happened. You could argue, how about this, stupid? How about that he might have had a sweetheart deal and then he farted or spilled the gravy at the state dinner and Merrick Garland's like, fuck this guy. And that was that.
Country, you know, as he failed to pay his tax returns and lied on them, he also
failed to pay his tax returns?
Across the country on a private jet to claim to an Alabama judge that he didn't earn enough money to pay child support.
Yeah, now. And part of the reason is because he had to pay all these back taxes for funds he no longer has. Somebody else had to help him pay them.
Harris.
Oh, and I'm
Harris.
sorry for cutting in, Emily. I just wanted to pick up on something that you said, Tammy, because this really is about the American people.
It totally is. The American people. They don't like seeing the rich, the powerful get away with things that they would never get away with. Like if any average dude out there was caught on tape, you know, saying you can just grab women by the pussy, they would lose their job immediately. They'd be hounded. They'd never be able to run for office, certainly, or whatever. And the Americans see when someone else is able to... Oh, fuck. Who's been swapping out my teleprompter again? God damn it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you can see through the forest, the thick forest of trees to some daylight, that forensically this is being shed today. The people can see that sunlight just cleaning everything.
Forensically, hold on. What? Run that by me again.
The forest, the thick forest of trees to some daylight, that forensically this is being shed today. The people.
Forensically, this is being shed today. Are they just stupid? Is that what this is? Is this just filler at this point?
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
I don't understand. First of all, you'd say forest like it's a bad thing. And forest for the trees is one thing, but like, when you say like sunlight into the dungeon or some shit,
am I getting through to you? Over.
I don't know.
See that sunlight just cleaning everything out.
That's what it is. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant, especially on the forest floor.
And I also agree, and
all right, I don't. First of all, nobody agrees with that. Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Particularly the liberal media, we all went into this day thinking that this was going to be one and done really quick. However, that mantra was still being touted 2 hours ago as we were watching them walk into a courtroom. What had changed was somebody on his legal team had done something they shouldn't do. Somebody who's accused, a young woman accused of pretending to be somebody else to try to get some evidence, kept out of the case. And those types of things the judge is taking a look at. So.
No, it isn't. This had nothing to do with any of that. This was strictly based on the idea that the plea agreement was too vague, and she wanted it narrowed because Republicans wanted to continue to go after him and have open investigations going forward just for the fuck of it. And they're like hoping that once Trump gets in, they can throw Hunter Biden in jail and then chase after Joe Biden as an old man just for the fuck of it, and just in case any other Democrats run. And that's all this is about. The threat of, like, I'll get in there and I'll go after him.
It's not anybody's opinion but hers that counts.
I love layup.
It's just genius.
Judge Marianne Norioka.
Hey, everyone.
Norioka. Marianne Norioka. Judge, it's nobody's business, but Judge Marianne Norioka. Or federal judge, or, one second, let's find this real quick. Or federal court judge, district court judge, Mary Ellen Noriega. It's just fun. Does it really even matter at this point? I mean, it's just the news. You don't even have to get it right. Speaking of, it's just the news, and you don't have to get it right. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Bloody McBlazing Liar himself, the man who is instrumental in parroting and elevating the mythology that the movie Sound of Freedom is based on. Lying about it, lying about the name of the kid involved, lying about the kid's sister, lying about the story of how it happened, lying about the helping craft this bullshit Tim Ballard origin story, and simply just being full of shit about it. Just garbage, just making shit up or buying it hook, line, and sinker as far back as 2013. This is called Shocking Shakeup, Hunter Biden Plea Deal, Did Lawyers Lie? Which I know what you're thinking, like, a lawyer lie? How very strange. Here we go.
Very important day for...
Oh, by the way, if I may, before we get into that, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I keep forgetting to do like regular show stuff because I'm with family and I'm doing this show from my dad's house and stuff while we're all visiting. And so I got to remember to do that. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Don't forget to follow us on infotainmentwars.com and, of course, on Threads. I'm on Threads. Please follow me over there. Twitter is simply a shit posting site at this point, which is why I think you no longer tweet on there. You now shit, spelling it X-I-T. It's a shit. You're shitting. It's a shit posting site. It's shit posts. These were there. That's what they are. X-I-T-P-O-S-T-S shit post. I invented that. That's how it's going to be, and so it is, and so it shall be. Anyways, back to this thing. So, this is Glenn Beck, captain of the Full of Shit team. And hold on, my name under me is Cattywampus. I need to fix it because it bothers me. Whoop. There we go. Don't know why. Just annoyed me. Shall we? Okay, here we go.
Justice in America.
Yes. Boom, bada, boom, bada, boom.
The judge in the Hunter Biden plea deal had a little problem with them yesterday.
Okay. Is it the lighting, or does he have mustard in his mustache?
He is supposed to either get the plea deal or not, and usually that's open and shut. If both sides have agreed, usually the judge says okay. However, the problem is a whole lot of information has come out between the plea deal being accepted by both parties and today. The judge, if there is any justice, the judge will say, hang on, before we get into that, I think there's a lot of stuff we need to look at.
No, that's not what happened at all. They simply just didn't, there was a lack of specificity. They wanted more specifics. Because Republicans from the House asked for it, went to a Trump judge and bugged them about it and said, we want to keep looking into this guy, so don't allow them to, don't let it be vague enough where he can claim that they have a plea agreement to not look further into it.
Check the plea deal. Now, I didn't really have any hope for that. However, yesterday, Hunter Biden's counsel kind of pissed the judge off a little bit. The judge yesterday threatened sanctions unless they could explain a fake call to the clerk asking for testimony from the IRS whistleblowers to be removed from the case. Now, this is according to the Daily Mail in England.
Okay, hold on one second. Daily Mail. Judge Hunter Biden fake call. Something we should be able to find that. Excuse Hunter Biden. Yeah. Okay. So here it is. This is what they're referring to. This is from the Daily Mail. Exclusive. Hunter Biden's lawyers claim fake phone call. Let me move this over. Claim fake phone call attempt to remove papers from court docket was unfortunate and unintentional miscommunication after judge threatened to sanction them on eve of plea deal hearing. Hunter Biden's legal team is accused of lying to the clerk in his criminal case. The alleged dirty trick was a ploy to remove testimony from IRS whistleblowers from the court docket. Delaware Judge Mary Ellen Noriega ordered Hunter's attorneys to explain themselves by 9 a.m. or be sanctioned. Well, I guess they did. Hunter Biden's lawyers have responded to the allegations that, thanks Dolly Parton on AI and wanting to leave her soul. Okay, blah, blah. Dude with mustache. Was considering a ban on gas stove. All right, get over yourself. Hunter Biden's lawyers have responded to the allegations that they conspired to lie to a court clerk in the first son's criminal case in Delaware by saying the incident was simply an unfortunate misunderstanding. Delaware Judge Mary Ellen Noriega had ordered the first son's attorneys to explain themselves. Okay, yeah. Just before the deadline, Hunter's Latham and Watkins lawyer, Matthew Salerno, filed a response claiming the incident was down to an unfortunate unintentional miscommunication. It was alleged that Hunter Biden's lawyers sought to remove testimony from IRS whistleblowers from the Justice Department's lackluster criminal investigation into his tax offenses from the court docket. The matter under consideration appears to stem from an unfortunate and unintentional communication between a staff member of our firm and employees of the court. We have no idea how the misunderstanding occurred, but our understanding is that there was no misrepresentation, Salerno wrote to Judge Noriega on Tuesday morning. He claimed that Jessica Bengals, the Latham staffer accused of pretending to be another law firm, has a phone number from which showed up as Latham on the clerk's caller ID. The staffer and the thing, that's her. Okay. This is his letter. Our firm represents the Honorable Jason Smith, member of Congress, chair of the House. Wait, hold on. Honorable Mary Ellen, visited by the thing, as way to the United States, Robert Hunter Biden. Dear Judge Noriega, our firm represents the Honorable Jason Smith, member of Congress and chair of the U.S. House of Representatives Ways and Means Committee. This brief, in aid of the plea hearing, together with the proposed American crime brief, okay, this is different. This is their part that they want to put in here? Okay, we'll see. Salerno attached an email from Bengals in which she claimed she initially called a different court clerk, Julia, from her Latham phone, identified herself truthfully, but was later called back by the first clerk, Samantha. At around 11:54 a.m., another court employee called my Latham and Watkins phone number, which I believe she knew was on caller ID, to let me know she would be removing the material from the docket, Bengals wrote. She did not ask which law firm I was affiliated with, and at no time during the call did I mention anything about my law firm affiliation. I believe there may have been some confusion when Julia passed the information on to the other court employee, resulting in a mistaken understanding that I had called from Mr. Catilla's firm. I am completely confident that I never indicated that I was calling for Mr. Catilla's firm or that I worked with him in any way. Earlier today, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith filed a brief to Judge Noriega suggesting that she toss Hunter's sweetheart deal with the Delaware prosecutors due to a claim that they gave the president's son preferential treatment. It is claimed, good Lord, does she have a thyroid thing or something? Why is her Adam's apple blue? Is that just part of the picture, or is that... I hope she's okay. Anyways. It is claimed that someone from Hunter Biden's attorney Chris Clark's former law firm later called the Delaware clerk, pretending to be from the office of Smith's attorney, Theodore Catilla, asking them to remove the original filing, and with it, 448 pages of congressional testimony from the two IRS investigators who worked on the case. The documents were then taken down and sealed. Catilla quickly filed a second outrage letter to the judge. We promptly contacted the clerk's office, and we were advised that someone contacted the court representing that we worked with my office and that they were asking the court to remove from the docket, Catilla wrote the judge. We immediately advised that this was inaccurate. In a fiery email exchange with Catilla about the apparent skullduggery, Hunter's lawyer hit back, denying any improper conduct and claiming the clerk took the filing down on their own accord. But the top Republican lawyer included in his filing a copy of an email from the Delaware clerk backing up his claims. The woman who was called Jessica Bengals, he wrote, adding the phone number. She said she worked with Theodore Catilla and it was important that the document was removed immediately. Sam Grimes wrote Catilla. According to Grimes' email, the alleged trickster is New York-based Latham and Watkins Litigation Services Director Jessica Bengals. Bengals' LinkedIn page says she has been litigation services counsel at the firm since January 2023 and has worked there since 2006. She went to Brown, Clark worked for Latham and Watkins up until April this year. Those are the emails. In a fiery email, Hunter's lawyers claim that the filing contained personal tax information and should be sealed, despite the same documents being publicly released online by the House Ways and Means Committee a month ago. Your attempts to publicly file my client's personal financial information with no protections are improper, illegal, and in violation of applicable rules, Clark wrote to Catilla. I stand by all of my statements. Judge Noriega, this dude, who's been a witness and a member of Congress, like, it's so fucking lame when they bring their own people as witnesses. There's a thing on cable news when you bring on other hosts as your guests that night, and I'm like, oh, couldn't find a pundit, and you caught them before they went home. Oops. So let's see. Appeared displeased, issuing an order on Tuesday afternoon over the alleged dirty trick. It appears the caller misrepresented her identity and who she worked for in an attempt to improperly convince the clerk's office to remove the amicus materials from the docket, the order said, therefore hereby, blah, blah, blah. Placed it under temporary, blah, blah, blah. Mike Howell, director of conservative think tank Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project, told Daily Mail that the latest twist in the courtroom saga was crazy and the alleged actions, again, same shit. again, didn't amount to a hill of beans.
They
Apparently, the judge was satisfied with that answer.
reported that the Delaware judge, Mary Ellen Noreika, excoriated and darn near eviscerated the
Yeah, she cut open her belly. She vivisected this woman who worked as a clerk for a litigation assistant at the law firm.
attorneys, because here's what they found out. The House Ways and Means Committee chairperson, Jason Smith, alerted the judge that someone had called the court clerk and misrepresented themselves as his attorney, requesting to remove 448 pages of congressional testimony from the IRS whistleblowers. So let me say that again. The House Ways and Means Committee chairperson called the judge and said, I want you to know somebody just called. I just got a report from my office checking on it from your office. Somebody was misrepresenting themselves as my attorney, and that is
Why is you want to talk about two tiers of justice? Why is the attorney for the Ways and Means Committee chairman at play in this at all? You want to talk about like what the average American goes through and all that kind of shit? Who as an average American has the Ways and Means Committee chairman giving evidence in a case against them, like IRS whistleblower testimony, attacking someone, again, based on fruit of the poison tree information, because both of them incorporated into their testimony stuff from the laptop, which means everything they say is ultimately in court going to be null and void, and this is just to dirty someone up.
not my attorney. I don't know who that was, but I'm not asking for those pages to be removed in this case with Hunter Biden in your courtroom. So when Smith's real attorney told the clerk that wasn't us, they fired off a quick note to Biden's attorney, who claimed that the clerk had taken down the testimony on their own. Smith provided evidence that the request was not a mistake. They did not take it down on their own, and in fact, it had come from a staffer with ties to Biden's attorneys. So now the judge.
Well, yeah, and by the way, Biden's attorneys, this seems how they miswrote it, but they asked them to take it down because it contained private information that was not germane to the case. And even though, again, the Ways and Means Committee had posted this shit illegally or in violation of Hunter Biden's privacy rights, like they give a fuck, the court wasn't supposed to. So even if they called from Hunter Biden's attorneys and said, hey, you guys are about to post stuff that is privileged and private information that is not germane to the plea deal or any of the court cases that we have going on as far as public consumption, and we want it sealed, they probably would have said yes temporarily until the judge said no or and released it, or like as a precaution.
And I quote, "It appears that the caller misrepresented her identity, who she worked for, in an attempt to improperly convince the clerk's office to remove the amicus materials from the docket. Therefore, by order that on or before 9 p.m. tonight," that's yesterday, July 25th, 2023, counsel for the defendant shall show cause as to why sanctions should not be considered for misrepresentations to the court.
Well, they weren't sanctioned today, so cue another Glenn Beck yawn.
So he was trying, the Biden attorneys break the law, have somebody with ties to the office call, misrepresent, lie, and say, I'm the attorney for so-and-so, and we need to get this out.
Who is not a party in the criminal proceeding that is happening, or the procedures is happening. Proceeding. They are not a party involved in it at all. But please continue.
Docket.
Okay, he's too quiet.
And they get caught. How is this not? I mean, this is mob stuff. This is honestly crime family kind of stuff.
They just have to get Biden crime family in there. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was so quiet. I fixed it.
We're going to see today. She's supposed to make the
just say it, spit it out. Plea deal.
The call on this today. So
yeah, it didn't. They didn't get sanctioned insofar. Well, let me check. Let me make sure. Let's see. Judge in Biden case, something like that. Hunter Biden's plea deal on hold, but delays attempted. Hunter Biden. Is there a sanctions? Plea deal is derailed. Does the judge Hunter Biden plea deal off there? Judge raises concern. Team apparently. Judge says Hunter Biden's legal team apparently something 11 hours ago. Let's see if there's sanctions. Did we find anything? Threatens to sanction. Judge says Hunter Biden apparently misrepresented judge member thing. Hunter Biden counsel faces possible sanctions. Didn't happen. Hearing no plea. Judge rubber stamp. No plea. Refuses a rubber stamp deal. Hunter Biden's legal team could face court sanctions. Okay, didn't. Face a mix-up or misconduct. Lawyers in a Hunter Biden case spar with judge. Legal team apparently. Nope. They were not sanctioned. Checking, and they were not.
We will see if he gets the sweetheart deal or not. He should not, obviously. By the way, the buyer of Hunter Biden's art, we now find out, has visited the White House 13 times. 13 times. Also is like, I don't know, the ambassador to U.S. history or whatever the hell it is.
The ambassador to U.S. history. Dear God, it's Doctor Who.
This person paid $875,000, which is weird because I was in the bidding and I also got the same artwork for $1.7 million. And coincidentally, completely unrelated, I'm also the ambassador to France. So this is great. So anyway, she is a big donor, and she bought
It's a she?
this artwork from Hunter Biden for $800,000 plus.
Well, it kind of is, I got to say, as the ambassador to U.S. history, buying the first son, probably one of the most famous first sons since, I don't know, Billy Carter. Or I guess, no, I take it back, George W. Bush. How much did she pay for George W. Bush's art? Because I'm going to guess it was top dollar. And the only reason she might have paid less for it than she paid for Hunter's was because George W. Bush, having been president, probably sold it on the cheap.
And then she goes to the White House and has meetings at the White House 13 times.
Meetings or visits? Also, she is the ambassador to U.S. history, so whatever the fuck that is.
Right after the art. And then she gets appointed to a great position. Isn't that weird? If
a great position. Yes, because when Newt Gingrich's wife got to be the Vatican ambassador and they get to fly back and forth to Italy all the fucking time, that's because they deserve it. But this woman, as the ambassador to U.S. history, she gets to time travel. Also, 13 times. How many times has how many times has Chanel Rion been to the White House?
This judge,
and not just in her capacity as a reporter for OAN,
accepts this deal. There is no justice. This judge should say, no, I think we need to wait. Because all this deal is he has to promise to be a good boy, stay away from drugs, and don't own any guns. And he is super promised that he wouldn't. Oh, my gosh. The Biden family.
Again, he's a recovering addict. And because he's the first son, he has Secret Service protection now. largely because of how people like this asshole talk about him.
Completely.
I don't think he needs a gun anymore.
And totally out of control. Usually with crimes like this, it is.
Usually. Tell us, Glenn. You know Bill O'Reilly.
Is the cover-up that is the real problem.
The cover-up is the real problem. So the cover-up, there isn't one, okay?
And the cover-up is...
Oh, you mean like when Waltine Nauta and Donald Trump conspired together to hide boxes of classified documents, not just from his own lawyers, forcing them to lie under oath, but also from the federal government, that he, during a time when he was having foreign nationals visiting nonstop and foreign employees working at Mar-a-Lago, and he was keeping the classified documents on a stage in one of the ballrooms in the shitter and in a cheese ball locked storage room.
Very big problem in this case. But unlike, a small break-in to Watergate,
there was you could just walk right into Pine Hall at Mar-a-Lago. Fuck it.
Just to spy on the Democrats, which is a very big deal. That's nothing compared to our president taking bribes from foreign countries that are our enemies.
Okay. Hi, stupid. What was the money for? Again, it's only a bribe if it was payment to do something you either couldn't or wouldn't do otherwise. You have to prove the money was actually paid to the person that's supposedly bribed, but you especially have to show the behavior that was paid for. And if someone pays, again, if somebody paid Joe Biden millions of dollars to get Shokin fired and millions of dollars to pass the Chips and Science Act, I got news for him. He was going to do it anyways. They fucking rolled you. So kudos to the Biden family for rolling our enemies on the regular and constantly teabagging any country that means us ill.
I mean, it's unthinkable.
Yeah. Well, then you're the perfect man for the job, considering you don't think.
How people are just living with it. I saw the New York Times yesterday. They were like, still there is no evidence that the president was involved in any of this.
Right. Great. Now Stu has to use that microphone again.
Rumpelstiltskin. Have you been asleep for the last year? What are you talking?
Yeah, Rumpelstiltskin. Remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin, the guy who fell asleep for a year? Fill in the gaps. Tell us.
About.
Well, how long did they cling to the Russian story? How long did they cling to that? How long did they say?
How long are you going to cling to the fact that the Russians were actively trying to help Donald Trump get elected? That you're just going to ignore Manafort. You're just going to ignore Carter Page. You're going to ignore what George Papadopoulos said. You're going to ignore Mike Flynn's connections with the country and the fact that he was dining with Jill Stein and Vladimir Putin. That's just nothing. You're just going to pretend. How long are you guys going to cling to the fact that, or to the misapprehension that Donald Trump wasn't helped by the Russians? Because that's the fallacy. Go read the Mueller report and then shut the fuck up.
That Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't his.
It isn't. What laptop? Pictures or it didn't happen. Metadata or it didn't happen.
Russian collusion. That was Russian disinformation.
It is.
I mean, they just will not let this stuff go. They're going to...
Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to. You know why? Because it's true and it's easy.
Protect him to the very end.
Very end of what? A 40,000-point stock market and a 2% unemployment and 1.5% inflation where everybody's worried about deflationary pressures?
And the very end, I think, could be coming. Mm-hmm. I think it could be coming. There's a sea change on all of this.
That's why I'm wearing my pretend Navy golf shirt.
Even without the media, the minute the media starts to say, you know what, it's just too much.
Yes. The minute they say that. You do realize they never said that about Donald Trump, right? You're expecting, allegedly, the media to go, ugh, this Biden stuff, I can't. Oh, too much. Oh, what Biden is doing and saying with the whole, where he's not accusing us of being enemies of the people, and he's staying out of the way as the DOJ goes after his son, and he's not calling everybody in the Department of Justice a slime ball and stuff, and there's no tape of him saying he can grab women by the pussy. Look, if the press didn't go, okay, fuck this, about Donald Trump, and just permanently forward from that point about the Access Hollywood tape, the fuck do you think they're going to do with Joe Biden?
If they ever say that, it will be over within a week. He will resign.
Uh-huh. Yeah, totally. Yeah. As soon as the collective press, big press, gets together and goes, all right, guys, vote. We're turning on Joe Biden. Yes. There's too much good news.
However, I don't think they're going to do that.
Yes, me neither, stupid.
But I think the American people, I sense a change in the American people.
Do you? All of them? You've met them? You're hanging out with them, are you? I do too. Considering Biden is kicking Trump's ass in fundraising on small donors. Yeah.
They've had enough.
Yeah, that's why 2020 went the way it did.
And, changed our language, changed everything, and people.
They changed our. You mean like pronouns and shit? Trans people. You have to respect trans people now.
Have been tolerant, but I have to tell you, Churchill was right. Churchill said.
Yes, well, he did stand on rooftops giving speeches. Winston Churchill. Hold on, something along those lines. Let's see. Yeah.
Winston Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Said to England, don't worry, the Americans will stand up. They're always the last to the party. They're always the last ones in. But once they get in, they win.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying about Ukraine, fuckhead.
And I think that's true. I think that America has put up with this nonsense for a very long time.
You're talking about your show, right?
Started messing with our children, and that got everybody's attention. And now they just keep dogpiling, lie after lie after lie. And they are so clearly lies and verifiable that I think enough independents and enough Democrats. I mean, remember, Donald Trump's numbers always had a floor to it. There was a floor to it. There doesn't seem to be a floor to the negative numbers for Joe Biden.
Let's see. 1 second. If you don't mind, dum. Let's see. Hold on. Continue. There we go. Do. Okay, I gotta scroll through this 1 second. I'll find it in a minute. Hold on. We'll go back to this. Give me a second.
his numbers keep going lower and lower.
Oh, there it is. Hold on one second. Just lower and lower and lower and lower and President Biden posts blockbuster 3-month fundraising total of $72 million. President Biden is starting his re-election campaign with tens of millions of dollars in the bank, dwarfing second quarter fundraising totals already announced by the campaigns of former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. According to an announcement from the campaign ahead of Federal Election Commission reporting deadline this weekend, the Biden-Harris campaign, the Democratic National Committee, and their joint fundraising committees combined to raise $72 million from April to the end of June. They have $77 million in cash on hand. Because Biden is the incumbent president and his campaign is fully integrated with the DNC, the combined fundraising total represents all the funds the re-elect could draw upon. Despite higher donation limits this cycle, these totals are actually lower than the numbers posted by former President Barack Obama and Trump at similar points in their campaign. Trump and the Republican National Committee raised $105 in the second quarter of 2019, while Obama and the DNC raised $86 million. A Biden campaign official pointed out Obama got into the race in early April 2011, while Biden waited until April. So on a per day of campaign basis, Biden raised slightly more. Blah, blah. Earlier this month, the Trump campaign announced the former president and his affiliate Political Action Committee had raised more than $35 million in the second quarter. Half, less than half. But, you know, it's all just small donors. It's those individuals, those ratty individuals. And by the way, let's see, where's this guy? Let me grab this over here. We did that one. We did that one. Mitch McConnell. We looked at this one. We looked at that guy. Oh, yeah. So this is the, I don't know if we get like the same kind of situation. By the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, support the show. Help us out if you feel like it. If you don't, I understand. I really do. I mean, if you're a troll and you're like, why does this guy always end up being so right? And it drives me crazy and I don't like it. And I know. I understand. There's a lot of people that feel that way. Especially, let's see if I can find him. Let's see. Where are we? Scroll. There's a guy in here who I gotta find him. Yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Go back. Here we go. Open this up, and we'll see. Yeah. There's a guy that really, really hates my show. It's this dude right here. You might be familiar with him. He's a former politician of some sort. He always makes the same face. He does that side bite. I'm not quite sure why. But this is reshoring production of essential medicines. And by the way, we'll get to this in a moment. Here we go. This is Donald Trump reshoring production of essential medicines. This is what he's gonna do. Now I think he was president for 4 years, and he didn't do this. In 4 years, he didn't. He didn't even try to do this, but he's gonna do it. Just a couple weeks after, on day one, along with the other things he's gonna do on day one, that he didn't do on any of the single days that he was president. Next time.
Under crooked Joe Biden, there has been a catastrophic increase in shortages of essential medicines.
He means Adderall.
I am totally, I don't know what's going on. I'm so lost. I can't even tell you. Hold on, I have to bring up my Trump hands for this one. I've had a special one. So much of what we've talked about, I don't even want you to think that for 1 second, I have done more for, we've run out of green Sudafed. I've even said, I've heard this before. People have been talking about this. People have said this before. And I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can. I'm making sure that we have all the drugs we need. Adderall, Pervitin. Gosar loves that stuff. It gives his head that nice swivel. That's what he likes. And we sorry. Okay.
Last year, new drug shortages were up by 30%, with 295 active drug shortages just by the end of 2022 alone. It's a mess.
Oh, it's a mess. By the end of okay, run that by me again, stupid. I was too busy dicking around my little
We're
hands.
up by 30%, with 295 active drug shortages just by the end of 2022 alone. It's a mess. There's currently a shortage of at least 14 critical cancer drugs in the United States. They just can't get it.
They just can't get it. If you got cancer, you picked the wrong time to get cancer.
Every month of delay, cancer treatment increases the risk of death by at least 10%.
That's so. If it's been 8 months, you're 80%. You're just dead. You might as well jump off a bridge.
It's unthinkable that this could be happening in the United States of America in 2023.
2020. Who could have believed it? It's so long into the thing. 2023.
It is truly unbelievable.
You're right. As a matter of fact, HHS releases essential medicine supply chain and manufacturing resilience assessment. As part of the Biden-Harris administration to revitalize American manufacturing and secure critical supply chains, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services established a public-private consortium for advanced manufacturing and onshoring of domestic essential medicines production. As part of the deliverables of the 100-day pharmaceutical supply chain report, the National Forum to Secure America's Supply Chain for Essential Medicines was tasked with 1. Selecting 50 to 100 critical drugs drawn from the Food and Drug Administration's essential medicines list to be the focus of an enhanced onshoring effort, and 2, developing strategies to overcome current pharmaceutical supply chain challenges and constraints. The forum, including 183 leading subject matter experts, comprised clinical and industrial industry stakeholder steering committees that provided input and analysis via 80-plus surveys, 40-plus interviews, and 4 workshops. The forum's clinical stakeholders include leading doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and public health experts from around the country, representing major hospital systems, professional societies, and government agencies providing direct patient care to underrepresented populations. The clinical stakeholders prioritized 86 medicines as most critically needed for acute patient care, a subset of which were further identified for thorough supply chain analysis. HHS is conducting supply chain analyses on these medicines to develop strategies to strengthen the resiliency of the supply chains for these medications. The forum's industry stakeholders included experts from across the pharmaceutical supply chain. These industry stakeholders, there you go. The forum's industry stakeholders identified a key solution for strategies and specific implementation actions to achieve greater resiliency within the essential medicine supply chain, grouped into 4 categories: increasing supply chain coordination, security, and transparency, expanded onshore and nearshore production capacity, advanced manufacturing capabilities and innovation, research and development, purchasing, stockpiling, and distribution approaches. They are already on it. So, if you want to understand what Trump is doing in these videos, go look at what executive orders Biden already writes up, or programs they have put in place in their first year of being in office. As soon as Biden comes up with a solution and they already start working on it, and they don't publicize it like that one. Most people don't know that that even exists. They might have heard a dust-up story about it or some sort of sideline about it, but they just get at it. Trump is assuming that no one will know about these things. And what they'll do is they'll hear him touting what he's going to do, which is exactly what's already being done. And then they'll go back and look, and they won't bother to look at the date, and they'll just assume the Biden administration are trying to cop what he's doing. So, yeah, because he's an asshole.
Becoming a third world country.
Excuse me, we're a ninth world country now.
Very rapidly. Between our open borders and our bad elections, we are third world. But even
we are third world. I got totally distracted. I don't know. The rest of you are so distracted. No, people don't know this. They don't know it. They don't know we're a third world country at this point. We can't possibly understand at all. People don't know. They think we're first world, maybe second world. They don't know. I don't know what a second world country is. Maybe they just have a lot of assistant managers. I don't know how that works. But we know that's the important thing. Sorry.
Dangerously, the top producer of critical medicines that we rely on in the United States is a place called China.
China's doing it. China's getting the place.
Produces 95% of all ibuprofen, 91%.
Ibuprofen. Okay. Let's see. This is international global aid program. With granules. So this is where he's getting his idea from, this global ibuprofen market size, which is Raleigh, North Carolina. This is older data, but it hasn't changed in theory this much. September 24, 2019, global market for ibuprofen is currently estimated to be 44,347 megatons and is projected to grow at a category of 2%. According to Bureau Inc., a procurement intelligence firm, ibuprofen prices have increased 22% from 2017 due to increase in raw material costs, with the prices for isobutylbenzene increasing by 11%. So during Trump, the price of ibuprofen went up 22%. The top 6 players in the market, namely Shasun, Shandong Xinhua, Granules Biocause, IOLCP, BASF, and SI Group had almost 80 to 85% of the ibuprofen supply in the market. Shasun is the market leader with approximately 16% of the global production. However, IOLCP has the highest installed capacity. Meanwhile, Granules Biocase has 100% utilization of ibuprofen production capacity, followed by Shasun with 96%. Bureau, which is in North Carolina, further stated its procurement experts can access this report on its market intelligence platform, Bureau Live. The most common forms of ibuprofen are granules, salt powder, and amines. The top consumers of ibuprofen are Pfizer, BASF, Johnson & Johnson, Bayer, Pharm, Dr. Reddy's, Cantum, and Ortho McNeil Pharmaceuticals, with the majority of ibuprofen consumers operating at global level or based in the U.S. or in India. Past 2 years have witnessed a price hike across sodium, metal, IBB, and ibuprofen. Most of the MNC chemical groups increased their chemical prices once in 5 to 7 years, stating an increase in the cost of manufacturing. Venati Organics leads the raw material supply globally for IBB and is planning to invest in isobutylcetiphenone, or IBAP, an advanced intermediate of ibuprofen, which can be used as an alternative to IBB by manufacturers. BASF is planning to expand its capacity for ibuprofen at its Ludwigshafen, Germany, and Texas, U.S. sites, with a total investment of $227.6 million, and the German plant is expected to be operational in 2021. Key suppliers of sodium metal are Inner Mongolia. The price of ibuprofen in India tend to be higher per kilogram as compared to ibuprofen China prices based on previous year trends. And that's why there's a larger number of it coming, why the majority of it comes from China. The reason the majority of it comes from China is, simply put, because it's cheaper there. As soon as China drives the price up or denies us the ability to get it, we'll just buy it from India and they'll produce more. But a little place called China, it's always been that way, even during my presidency.
Hydrocortisone, 70% of all Tylenol, and nearly half of all penicillin. Can you imagine that?
Nearly half of all the penicillin. And why do we get half of it from there? Because it's cheap.
Public health crisis. It's a national security crisis. As part of my plan to obtain total independence from China.
Total independence from China. Fuck reshoring and de-risking and de-leveraging or whatever. We're de-Chinaing.
We'll phase in tariffs and import restrictions to bring back production of all essential medicines to the United States of America, where they belong.
I see. So you won't be able to import medicines from overseas. So the price will, unless it's made here, it's going to be exorbitantly expensive, and you're screwed essentially. Ibuprofen's going to be like $9 a pill.
I signed an executive order to be
because he didn't specify just from China. And if he does it just from China, what the fuck is the reasoning behind that?
This process in 2020, but Biden has shamefully failed to follow through. He wants it ended. He wants to take care of China.
He wants to take care of China. He wants all of his Doan's pills. He's old. He likes his Doan's pills they come from China. They're dong pills, which I don't think they're even for your back, if that's what they're called.
This is a matter of tremendous urgency. American lives are on the line, and it will be one
and American headaches.
My top priorities as president. It will
It wasn't before.
Create countless new American jobs. Thank you.
It'll also create. We forgot to throw that in throw an edit in at the tail end.
Process in 2020, but Biden has shamefully failed to follow through. He wants it ended. He wants to take care of China. This is a matter of tremendous urgency. American lives are on the line, and it will be one of my top priorities as president. It will also create countless new American jobs. Thank you.
They had to throw that in at the tail. Oh yeah, by the way, it's going to make a bunch of jobs. And of course, it'll make drugs way more expensive. Ibuprofen, you're going to be, where is that Purdue Pharmaceutical cheap oxy? Maybe I don't need 2 ibuprofens. I can just lick a fentanyl and that will do it. Again, already being handled. Already the Essential Medicines working group is already working on it. There's the PDF. We can just look at the PDF if you want about that. There's the fact sheet. Let's blow it up. How do I get these? Do I take this out? Yeah, thank you. We'll blow this up. Building resilient supply chains, revitalizing American manufacturing, faster broad-based growth, 100-day reviews under Executive Order 14017, June 2021. A report by the White House. Building resilient supply chains, revitalizing American manufacturing, fostering broad-based growth. There's also an executive summary, introduction, mapping the supply chain, risk assessment, global footprint. Now I've got some reading to do, don't I? Hold on, now I got to download the goddamn thing. Yes. Download it. Now I got something to read on my break. So, anyways, love you guys. I'm gonna sign off now if that's cool. And there will be no show tomorrow for family reasons, and no morning show on Friday. I apologize. I will make up for it. I promise. But give me the break, and then I have to travel for a show too, so it's like crazy. But anyways, much love to you guys, and I will see you on Friday afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I hope you enjoyed the digs while I was here doing the show, and the ever expanding graphic quality of the show, which I think I worked very hard on, if I do say so my damn self. Is this the button? I think it might be. Yep. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the beginning. I want to end. Thank you, Tobias. Just saw that. Thank you so much. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Thank you, Robert. And thanks, everybody, for the bits on Twitch. Appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay.
This is 100% fact here.
He thinks I made it up.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Just the facts, ma'am.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen. Yosemites.
10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they'd say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question?
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave this door.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? No. Why am I the only person that